Right, morning. Welcome to Sewing Bee Unpicked with me, Jane from Haberdasherdo. We're looking at Series 7, Episode 2, where they make paper bag shorts and a button-down summer dress. The transformation challenge, which I won't be going into a lot of detail about, was to make a summer outfit out of a pair of men's, or out of several pairs of men's board shorts and lycra swimwear. Delightful. Right, so the pattern challenge was a pair of paper bag shorts. So I've dug out a couple of suitable patterns. So I'll go through those first. Then I'll talk about suitable fabrics and a little bit about how the sewers constructed their shorts and pitfalls and stuff like that. So first up, and the best candidate, I think, is Mccall's 8118. Please ignore the picture on the front. They have made them out of red pleather. Why you would want them out of red pleather, I cannot fathom. Anyway, imagine these out of a lovely cotton poplin, viscose, something like that. Nice floaty pair of paper bag shorts. So these, red pleather aside, oh my god, I can't say that. You get on the pattern a little wraparound skirt, a pair of shorts and a pair of wide leg trousers. They all have elasticated waist. There's a tie belt and there are turn-ups. There's also, by the looks of things, side pockets in the shorts and the trousers, and you can also put patch pockets on the back. So that's that one. Comes in sizes 6 to 24. We have that in stock as ever. The other one is Mccall's 8168. It's not strictly speaking a paper bag short. Oh god, I can't work out which way I am. It's not strictly speaking a paper bag short because it has a zip fastening, and the sort of paper bag effect is created by pleats in the top rather than with the elasticated waist. But it is the same kind of high waist effect. And I picked these out because I thought they might be a little bit more forgiving for the fuller figure, like myself. I like the idea of paper bag shorts, and I do have a pair, but I do look like a balloon in them. So it's whatever you're comfortable with, really. So this pattern, again, sizes 6 to 24, I think. You get a pair of shorts, which you can do with or without the turn-up. You get a pair of straight leg pants and a pair of wide leg pants. I mean trousers. Why am I saying pants? They're trousers. I'm not American. So there we go. So the sewers, I think most of them chose like a cotton poplin type fabric. Farry, I think, chose a denim, which is a little bit heavy because you want, where it's gathering around the waist with the elastic, you don't want too much bulk there. Also, it means the shorts will be quite stiff if the denim's too stiff or if the fabric's too stiff. So as well as a cotton, you could use a viscose, which is a bit more floaty and drapey. My daughter has a pair of paper bag shorts out of viscose, and they are one of her favourite things, and they look great. Mind you, she's size 8. So what else could you make them out of? I mean, if you're looking at winter time, you can make them out of soft baby cord. Anything more than baby cord would probably be a bit bulky. And also a linen would be a good mix. Nice soft linen. So I've got a few to show you. So this is a cotton. It's a cotton batik. It's got a bit of stability to it, but that would be lovely. I've got a denim. It's got a little bit of stretch in it, which is extra nice. I've got quite a few customers who've made this into clothing. So that's a nice soft weight denim. Linen is the other option. I've got a pair of linen shorts out of this, just in a different colourway, in a gold colourway, or a mustard colourway. I've got to show you later for the button-down sundress that one of the sewers made. So linen, that's a good option. Obviously you have to iron the linen though, that's the only downfall. I've got a couple of cotton poplins here. I think this is what a lot of the sewers made their shorts out of. Certainly Damien did, the kind of rose print. Can't remember what else it was. This is a cotton poplin, but it does have a viscousy kind of drape to it. It's a little bit softer than the other poplins. It's quite soft and pretty ditzy floral. And then this is a viscose, which is, as you can see, it's a bit more floaty. You get a lot of Primark clothes are made out of viscose, obviously a inferior quality viscose than we stock. So it does drape and hang really nicely, and it's great for dresses as well, and for sort of wide leg trousers. Okay, so that's a few fabric and pattern suggestions. As for the construction, so Esme and Patrick talked quite a bit about following the instructions, and they kept asking people whether they were following the instructions, especially Damien. Say no more. And it is important to read the instructions, and I wouldn't suggest otherwise. And I always do skim through the instructions when I open a pattern and look at the basic construction, how it's going to fit together. And especially nowadays, you know, they kind of changed how they do things. I look at things and think, well, why are they doing it like that? I didn't do it like that. So I look to see whether they've done it that way for a particular reason, or whether they're trying to cut corners or show you a different way of doing it. And sometimes I'll do it how I think, how I'm more comfortable doing it myself. So for example, with the paper bag trousers, shorts rather, they sewed the centre seam first on the back and the front, and then they assembled the front and the back together with the pockets. I wouldn't do it like that. So how I make shorts or trousers is I make each individual leg. So I make front and back one leg, so I've got one tube, and a front and back tube for the other leg, and I pop one inside the other, and then you sew the crotch seam. So that's how I make trousers, and that's just how I'm used to making them, and I know that works for me, so that's my way. So that's one thing I would have done differently, but it's the way they did it was absolutely fine. And it also might have made it a little bit easier with the pocket placement, how they did it. So I understand why they did it that way. The other thing was the turn-ups, which not everybody seemed to get, which I didn't quite understand, because it is basically a deep hem that you turn back the other way, and as long as you hide the line of stitching, you're absolutely fine. What they didn't show on the pattern, and they did do a brief section where Jo narrated how to do a turn up, and they just said to turn over on the inside, the hem, and then turn it back, which meant there would be a raw edge. Now I would have finished that raw edge or made an extra little small hem. So turn it over 1/4 of an inch and then do the big hem and then turn it back. So I would have done that to create a neat hem inside. And the other thing that was to look out for, which is Jean's downfall, was the marking of notches from your pattern. So you have notches on your pattern to help you make sure that you're aligning the pattern piece, the cut pieces in the correct way and in the correct place, so that you line up your side seams correctly. When it comes to placing pockets, you line up the notches so you know you've got the pockets in the right place, because if you put the pockets in the wrong place, as Jean did, she ended up with a tiny little opening because she put the pocket too high up, because the allowance for the waistband was quite deep, like so. So you turn that over and then the pocket was below that, and she looked at it and thought, oh, pocket goes about there, I guess. And I have made that mistake before. So those were the things to look out for. Oh, there was one other thing as well, actually. It looked like they were told to, or the pattern told them to sew the waistband with the elastic all in one go. So they had to put the elastic on the waistband and turn it over and stitch it, which meant they would have to stretch out the elastic whilst they're sewing, but not actually sew the elastic, if that makes sense, which I thought was a very strange way and awkward way of doing it. How I would have done it was made a casing for the elastic, and then fed the elastic through the casing and then sealed that off. So that was a rather strange one, and that's where a lot of the sewers had difficulty getting nice straight lines. A couple of the sewers didn't catch the top of the pocket in the waistband, which meant the pocket would flop down. So yeah, rather a strange pattern instruction, that one, I think, and I can't work out why they did it that way. It would have been much easier to put a casing on. So that would be the main thing that I would do. Right, I think that is it for paper bag shorts. So, transformation challenge. Yeah, I'm not sure about this, really. I would prefer to see the judging criteria to include some element of whether it is wearable or not, because the ones they created this week, I don't think anybody could have worn them. I think there was one outfit which I think Catherine made. It was a little top, little sort of vesty top with straps, which did look vaguely wearable. But the others, oh my god, if you walk down the street wearing that, they'd think you're a bag lady, I think. Anyway, it was a really difficult thing to do, is to create something out of board shorts and make it look nice. But there we go. And I think that was proved in the end results. So we're going to move on to the made to measure, which was, I think the brief was for button-down sundress. Sorry, just looking for my notes. So there were a variety of different styles. So because it was just, the brief was button-down sundress. So we had Damien and Lorato, I think, Farry, who made just like a shirt dress with buttons down the front, so no fitting involved, just kind of the shaping, it just came from the shoulders. There were a few what I call a semi-fitted, so like a couple of semi-fitted. So Adina's lovely dress was like almost like a shift dress, a semi-fitted shift dress, but she'd shifted the buttons to come down the side. Rebecca's was like a semi-fitted dress with darts. Trying to think for the others. Then there were quite a few what I call a fit and flare. So the top bodice was fitted or semi-fitted, and then a fuller skirt to varying degrees. So jeans was definitely a fuller skirt. She chose. I mean, it was a beautiful fabric, and it was a lovely dress, but unfortunately she didn't allow herself enough time. That the skirt was so full, that was a massive hem, and in the fabric she chose, which is viscose, it does move a bit, so creating a hem on viscose is a nightmare if it's on a circle like hers was. Just, yeah. Oh, excuse me. So what else was there? Yeah, Andrews and Adams sort of vintage style dresses, both of them. They were both what I call a sort of fit and flare. And then Lorato's yellow sundress, that was a fitted dress, and I'm going to talk about that one a bit more later. Right, so I've got some patterns and I've got some fabric suggestions, and I'll talk a little bit about them and the making up of them and the style. So starting off with, I've got a couple of sort of shirt style patterns. Let's go this way. So M7925, it's a long floaty shirt dress, so this would have been similar to Farry and Damien's. Damien's was more mandarin neck, I think, but I couldn't find a mandarin one. But this is a lovely floaty type shirt dress. This is another one. It comes in two different styles. You've either got a straight shirt dress version or a more fitted with a waist and a gathered skirt, which is quite pretty. So got a couple of fabric suggestions for that. So Damien, talk about picking the right fabrics. That was a beautiful fabric. I have seen that. I think it's a cotton sateen stretch. So it's sort of 95% cotton with a 5% stretch knit, and it's got like a smooth satin finish, but it's a lovely fabric. Now I've got something similar-ish. This is what I call a silky print. It's quite flowy fabric and quite lightweight for the summer. It is polyester and it's got a little bit of stretch in it, so it's got a little bit of give in it. Okay, so something like that works well with sort of floaty shirt dresses. The other thing is we've got sort of seersucker, really nice fresh cotton seersucker, which is supposed to have a kind of a cooling effect, I think. I don't know why. And then gingham is in, apparently, so my team tells me. So there we have it. There's a few suggestions for a shirt dress. Right, next up, Rebecca did a kind of what I call a semi-fitted dress, quite a floaty summer dress. I think it had really pretty sleeves, hers and who's the other young one? Serena. They both had feature sleeves, didn't they? Which is quite telling for the young folk. Anyway, this one I think is quite like Rebecca's. It's Mccall's 7920. So you get quite a few different styles on this one. So the one like the main picture here, with a V-neck and then a sort of flared out A skirt. You can do it in a longer length as well, or you can do it a straighter version like the orange and the blue pictured. This one is also a similar-ish kind of thing. I couldn't find anything with the pretty sleeves in the Mccall's range, so this is 8104, and rather than having sort of princess seams down the front for the shaping, this has got, I don't know if you can see on the drawing, can you see it's got hang on, it's gone out of focus, isn't it? Oh, I'm going to come over here. It's got kind of a yoke that comes under here, and the bust gathers onto that, and the skirt just flares from the yoke. You might be able to see it better if I turn it over, and you can just see the pattern there. So I think that would be a really flattering pattern. That would be great. Either of those would be great in the double gauze like Rebecca used, which I do have and I've forgotten to get it out. But that would also work in a viscose really well. I'll put the viscose at the bottom of the pile. I did that in the wrong order. So these, I showed you an orange viscose earlier. So this is another viscose of ours. It's Peacocks, which looks gorgeous. We've got this in the window at the moment. The dress behind me is in a polyester linen look. That is really lovely and floaty. Or a bolder print viscose like this one would work really well for a dress like that. Okay. Oh, actually, I picked this one out because this has got sleeves, a bit like Rebecca's dress. So you could kind of pattern hack a bit if you had both patterns and do that sleeve on that dress. This dress is this one behind me. Which is, as I said, is done in a polyester linen, so it's a linen look. It's lovely and floaty. It's lovely to work with. It has got how many buttons? I think 13 buttons down the front. And actually that's the point. They did talk about buttons and button placement. I'm just going to bring it a bit closer to me. So they talked about the evenly spaced buttons, but you can do the buttons in groups. So I don't know if you can see on this one, but the buttons are in groups. So they're groups of 3, then there's a slightly bigger gap, group of 3, slightly bigger gap, group of 3, slightly bigger gap, then a group of 4, and it creates a bit of detail in the dress. So there we go. So that pattern is 7974. So you've got quite a few different options there: long sleeves, no sleeves, short sleeves with little ties, lots of different options there. But it does have 13 buttons down the front. I did that one, didn't I? That's Rebecca's one. Okay, so there were a few, no there weren't, yeah, there were a couple of sort of strappy sundress styles. So Raf did one in that lobster fabric. I've seen that lobster fabric and I didn't get it, and I wish I had now because I've seen it made up. That's a cotton poplin, and he dip dyed it, which looked really lovely, really good effect. So he did a sundress that was sort of fitted on the top and then flared out, and then Lorato did her fully fitted sundress, which they didn't make a big thing about, but there was a lot of work in that dress and she fitted it to her model really, really well. And she did it in a plain fabric. It looked like a plain linen, which is very unforgiving. So you got Damien, who chose a really lovely fabric, but a pattern that it wasn't fitted in any way to the model. It looked great, but there wasn't any fitting involved. He just had to get the length right. Sounds like I'm being a bit disparaging. And Lorato, she's got a lot of work in getting those seams and getting those straps to cross at the back and to sit correctly. That was a pretty major task, and all those buttons down the front to sit really lovely and straight and still be fitted on the model. She did a really, really good job, and I think she was robbed of Garment of the Week. And there we go. That's my opinion. Right, couple of sundress styles. So this is more like Rafe's. Probably this one down the bottom here. His wasn't sort of gathered at the waist. His was more just kind of flared out, but I couldn't find one like that. So this is Mccall's. Oh, there we go. I can never get it going the right way. 7950. The one they've made up, they've done it in stripes, and they've made a feature of the stripes going different ways, which creates a different effect, which is quite good. So this would be good in cotton poplins, viscose, anything like that. And then this one is more like Lorato's yellow dress that she made, which is fitted with all the buttons down the front, and then on the back this has got a straight back, like so. Hers had crossover straps and the back was a bit lower, so I think she did hers in a linen. It looked like a linen, so linen or cotton poplin or a linen mix. So those are all Mccall's. This is a Simplicity one that I think came free with one of the magazines not so long ago. So Simplicity K889. So the sundress, it doesn't have so many fitted seams as the Mccall's one, but it's still a similar kind of effect. Right, so talking of lobsters, I haven't got lobsters, but I have got koi. So if you wanted something a bit bold, dun, 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 I made my daughter a wraparound skirt in this, and it looks really cute. So that's a cotton poplin, which is quite easy to work with. You can get a really nice, neat, flat seam with that, because you got to think about, if you're doing that many buttons, you don't want a fabric that's horrible to work with and puckers up, because you want your buttonholes to be perfect, especially if they're down the centre of the front. It can ruin an outfit if you haven't got the buttonholes right. So Lorato, I think, did hers in a linen or a linen mix. It's a bit of a thread on there. This is lovely to work with, this linen. It's enzyme wash linen, so it's a bit softer and a bit smoother than some of the other linens that are available. But it's quite, what's the word, drapey. And it does crease, but not as badly as some linens. And we've got that in some lovely colours: pistachio, black, gold. Okay, the final sort of linen, this is a linen mix, is a stripe. I do like a stripy dress. So same as the last linen, nice, really nice to work with. You get a nice crisp finish on it. Yeah, the problem with stripes is whether you want to match them or not. Talking of matching, Catherine and her fabric that she chose, really lovely sort of sea spray greeny blue with the little keys on, and she said she wanted to pattern match. Now the pattern was really small, and Patrick told her not to pattern match. He didn't have to pattern match it, but she was like, no, I want to do it. And talk about make life difficult for yourself. She didn't need to pattern match. When you've got a small pattern like that, it doesn't matter. You're not going to notice if it pattern matches or not. Bigger patterns and stripes, yes, you are going to need to attempt to pattern match. And Damien and Farry both pattern match really, really well down the front of their shirt dresses. They looked amazing. Also good on pattern matching was Raf in the paper bag shorts challenge. So yeah, pattern matching, don't bother if it's just a small print. It's not going to show. No one's going to notice. It's only you who's going to know that you've done it, but what good is that to anybody? Right, sorry. Alternative, right. Adina drafted her own pattern, kind of a shift style dress, and that lovely sort of button back feature, and then buttons down the side. So I found a couple of patterns with buttons down the side. So there is Mccall's, oh god, you can't see that, can you? 8036. I couldn't find a shift dress one, but this one was a bit unusual, and I quite like the sleeves on this. You would have to be careful about the placement of the buttons, because it goes across an angle and then down, so you wouldn't want to get any pulling going across, because then it won't sit correctly. So this is styled with darts. It's got little gathers on the shoulders for some shaping, and then a sort of a kind of a semi-fit and flare effect. So 8036 Mccall's. And also in Love Sewing magazine this month is a similar pattern. I don't particularly like the fabric that they've made it up in. I think it looks like a 1970s house coat. So my mum had like a tabard out, that kind of fabric, and it just, yeah. But the pattern actually is quite nice, and it's a bit different. So that would look lovely. Again, if you're doing the crossover, you just have to make sure you get the button placement absolutely right. And I've got one more pattern. It's not, I don't think it was like any of the others that were shown, but it's a different alternative kind of thing. 7805 Mccall's. It's buttons down the front, sort of off the shoulder. It's got panels. Oh god, you can't see. There we go. It's shaped with panels, so it's sort of princess line-ish panel shaping. But that will be quite flattering because it's kind of fitted and then flares out for us larger ladies. So that is in size 6 to 22. So I think that's everything I have to say. I think you got the gist that I thought Lorato was a bit robbed of Garment of the Week. I did like Adina's Garment of the Week, and she did draft her own pattern. But I would like to see the judging. How can I say this? I think the patterns that they chose varied so much that, you know, they had some sewers making just a unfitted garment, which looked lovely and were well made, but don't take as much work as, for example, the fitted dress that Lorato made, which is very fitted to the model. Adam's dress had a lot of features in it. It was fitted, it had the piping, the red piping on the blue. They were little details that take a lot of time and skill. So there are, I think there's a bit of disparity in the judging. Maybe they need to sort of define the brief a bit better. So, you know, if they want them to make a button-down sundress, say it's got to be semi-fitted, then it'll be a little bit fairer, I think. Anyway, there we go. That's my opinion. Hope you enjoyed. Bye.